Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign, Horror on the Orient Express, is set in 1923 towards the end of January, and it's hard to believe that we started this campaign on January 8th of this year. We've reached episode 30, and we still have a ways to go. Our recap will be presented by Jeff Wilkins, and so the players are ready. Let's begin our journey into the darkness. Jeff?
Thanks, Tom. We started on Saturday morning, January 27th, 1923, in Venice, Italy. Although we had a strange event just outside our hotel the previous night, a woman's husband was murdered nearby. We decided to stay focused on finding the Sedefkar Simulacrum statue pieces. We wanted to stop back into the library for some additional research, but it was closed until 10 a.m. So we attempted to find a church called St. Maria's of the Heavens, which we soon find to be rather difficult since there's a church on almost every corner in Venice. We stopped randomly at a small older church looking for advice. We learned bits and pieces here and there, but most importantly, the Church of St. Maria's has burned down, and it turns out the manuscripts and the book called L'Immagine del Diablo, or Devil's Image, has been taken to the main library, Biblioteca Marciana. By this time, the library is now open. We start researching various topics regarding the Immagine del Diablo and the plague in 1797. Anselm finds the book and steals it. Dr. Dawkins is successful in finding some very interesting notes regarding the plague. He finds both an official report and an unofficial diary entry from a Captain Dubois. Dubois tells a story of a man named John, or is that right? Jean is pronounced as John? John Boucher?
Yeah, Jean Boucher.
Having discovered the leg of the Sedefkar Simulacrum. Because of the belief of the leg being the cause of the plague, Dubois secretly hides the leg in the sarcophagus of St. Isidoro, entombed within St. Mark's Church. After a brief lunch, we head off to St. Mark's to see what we can find. We find a small chapel room with St. Mark's dedicated to St. Isidoro. After a brief discussion, we decide to steal the artifact once the church closes at 9 p.m. Much discussion and planning ensues, and finally we just decide to hide in the church when it closes. We all get seen or discovered except for Rupert. Thankfully, he's able to open one of the doors and allow us all to enter. Once we're all successfully in the church, we discover a small sort of trap door on the back of the sarcophagus. We open it, and much to our surprise, instead of finding the ceramic leg sculpture, we find a small scroll, unopened, with a wax seal. The wax seal has a symbol of a cherub holding what looks like a small doll in its hands. Dr. Dawkins breaks the seal, keeping the pieces, and Anselm translates the scroll. It's a note from an unknown person who is asking for forgiveness for stealing the ceramic leg. The wording is tricky, and it's not clear if it's from a friend or a family member or a person named Marco. We have a time period reference for the Monte Grappa battle, which is in World War I. At this point, Dr. Dawkins pockets the scroll, and we quickly exit the church as quietly as we can. We stop off for a good stiff drink and then head back to our hotel room around 10:30 p.m. While in the lobby, Vigo overhears some strange rumors. People are claiming that during the night service, people say they heard the statues were weeping blood. And that brings us up to date.
Okay. So, do you want to jump forward to the morning, or do you want to do something this evening before you go to bed? You've just heard the rumors from the staff that...
Is there any way to question the staff to get any more details, or that's pretty much all we got was just rumors?
At this point, you're getting just rumors. I heard somebody, a friend of my friend says that they saw the statues weeping.
And and that's in the church that we've just left.
Yes.
Now,
was a little odd.
Was it statues plural or singular?
I said statues.
Okay.
It seems odd. I mean, if we were there, we weren't there at the actual service. But I would think if something, quote, miraculous like that happened, there'd probably be a crowd there or something that we would have noticed.
There'd probably be more priests. We wouldn't have been able to just wander around, would we? I mean,
yeah.
It is a
there would have been people in there attending them and watching them or whatever.
Historically, it's a very Catholic thing, isn't it? Statues weeping blood, in sort of very much in Catholic history.
Probably, yeah. I would say so.
I'll say it. Vigo would know this since he is Catholic, and that traditionally, when you hear stories about this, it usually means that disaster is coming.
Oh.
Mm.
And there's not always just suddenly a crowd who wants to see the miracle. It's more like it scares the crap out of people.
We didn't notice anybody acting frightened or anything like that while we were in church.
No.
Hope it wasn't us.
Steal from the church.
Well,
I'm going to bed.
You guys are going to hell for stealing from the church.
I'm going to hell anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Says the man with the scroll in his pocket.
Oh, I'm not Catholic, so.
If we're not doing anything, I'll go to bed. I'll finish my journal and then go to bed. So I'll see everybody in the morning.
All right. Yeah, I think I'll turn in as well.
Good night, gentlemen, ladies.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night to you all.
Well, where are we going to start tomorrow? That's the question.
Well, I think Dr. Elizabeth had a good plan to try to research the wax seal.
Yeah, that's a start.
It seems like a really strong lead. I've been going over the wording in my head, and I'm still not totally convinced. There's a lot of pronouns are misleading, and I'm not sure who is referring to his and who does his refer to.
Do you want me to put that up on the screen again so you can go over it?
I'll leave it up to you guys if you want.
Sure, why not?
One of my questions.
I'll pull out the scroll and lay it on the table to have you read it.
You can read it out loud again if you want, or you can analyze it as however you want.
So I got to the part where it says, my friend was weeping and begging for help. His statue was broken. So I'm assuming the word his is referring to, quote, my friend.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, given that we've been told that the statues were weeping, I can't help but wonder whether his statue was broken and my friend was weeping and begging for help. I mean, my friend could well be just a statue of a saint with which he's familiar. So when he says his statue was broken, he could be talking about the statue of the saint.
Okay, hold that, because then it continues and it says, his statue, I did not have the material to repair it for the curse, blah, blah, blah. I remember it goes through it last. And it says, what else could I do? And then the next part says, his grandson died on Monte Grappa. And that's the other, so he's saying his again, I assume talking about the friend. But then it says, alongside my dear Marco, and his figures are the only things that comfort him. So in that sense, the word his, I'm not sure if it's referring back to Marco, because that Marco is the last person that whoever wrote this.
Well, the wax seal though, the wax seal that was on the scroll, that was a cherub holding like a doll or a mannequin or something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So his figures might be connected with that, although you would imagine that the whatever that was referencing was connected more with the author rather than this third party.
Yeah, I imagine that the seal is a family seal, and that's why I think it's such a strong lead, that maybe it can lead us to a family name.
Mhm.
Yeah, a family, or maybe
Some sort of business.
a business or a guild or something like that.
Yeah. Because they're talking about statues, maybe it's a oh my god, a masonry guild.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking earlier. Question for you Catholics: are saints actually still named currently, or is it something that just happened in the past and they no longer?
Oh no, they're still
still
named
named saints.
they're
Yeah.
still beatified. They're currently discussing, the beatification of all sorts of.
Just this last week, the Pope announced like 5 or 6 more saints. So
wow. Now, what's the I guess what's the credentials of becoming a saint? Do you have to have no children? Can you have children?
they're just holy people who devoted their lives to God or did some great thing, and usually there's miracles associated with them.
Yeah, like one of the big things to like recognize a saint is that they don't decay when they die. They smell like flowers.
That sometimes is one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Mother Teresa was named a saint after she died.
Okay.
Pope John Paul was named a saint after he died.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
one of the things I just want to point out real quick too is the one sentence where it says, "I do not do this for personal gain, but for love," which almost makes it sound like it might be a woman writing this. But it's unclear. Like, I don't know if it means like the love of my child or the love of my husband, or maybe it's the husband saying it's the love of his wife.
From a spiritual perspective, you could say that coming to the aid of someone who is in mourning might be regarded as an act of love. It might be an act of fraternal love.
I don't know. I agree with Frank that maybe it was, it could have been romantic love because it wasn't for personal gain, it was for emotional love. But I'm just trying to piece together why they do it for love.
One thing that I should mention that is not apparent here is that this is all in handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not typed. I typed it, but it's not typed.
Okay.
So does that mean we can look at the handwriting and like there's little hearts over the letter I, so we could tell?
I just wanted you to realize that.
I was gonna ask actually if there was a way for me to analyze it. If there was a certain skill that I could maybe use, like a library use or something like that, but I don't really know.
No.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Okay.
I also had the thought too, like it's talking about weeping statues, it's talking about broken statues, and we're
Vigo, do an idea roll for me.
All right.
We're currently in the middle of searching for a broken statue.
I am coffee deprived, so with my 97, I can't be.
Okay. That's cool.
Well, I think where it says his statue was broken and I had no material to repair it. I mean, I would have thought it's implicit within this note that this is someone who is apologizing for having taken the object that we were looking for from that vault.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Which makes me think that this person is a stonemason.
Or at the very least, friends with a stonemason.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of speculation that we can try to draw tonight, but I think, well, I'm going to turn in. So I think that we should get some rest and perhaps around 10 o'clock, because these people are savages and don't know how to open up a library. early in the morning.
Hey.
We'll head back to the library.
Yes, I mean they've got to have some sort of gazetteer of local family crests or business trademarks or something. It's Venice. It's very guild orientated, and what do they call it? The Zonta or something. There are like sort of trade guilds and things. So you would imagine that a trademark like that would have to be registered and notified somewhere.
Yeah. And Vigo, I meant nothing about that. You're not from Venice, so it doesn't include you.
All right then. I guess I'll let it slide this time. Give me some coffee in the morning. We'll call it even.
Absolutely.
You guys are going to call it a night then?
Yeah, I am.
All right. So you go to bed, and everything, your sleep is pretty much uninterrupted. Next morning you get up, following your usual morning routine, and you all meet downstairs for coffee and croissant or whatever.
We're not in France.
Coffee
cannoli.
Spumoni.
Morning, everybody.
Oh yes, waitress. 2 triple espressos over here. One for myself and one for my good friend Vigo.
Oh, good man. I saw it hammering out a cigarette.
Oh, God bless you, old man. Thank you.
Here you go. Anyone else?
Absolutely appreciate it. Start to look forward to the morning cigarette.
Yeah.
Everyone slept well, I hope.
No interruptions this time.
I had an unusually good night. I woke up a couple of times. At least we didn't have a woman screaming last night.
More's the pity.
You're a dark one, you.
So are you guys going to do anything while you're having breakfast?
Let's I'll get the paper. I don't know how to read Italian, so I'll get the paper and hand it over to Vigo.
All right.
I'm very happy because, bumping into these people has made my, no offense to Elizabeth, my European trip has become a lot more interesting than it was a few days ago. So I'm sort of beaming like a Cheshire cat with my monocle in. I'm absolutely pleased to see everybody and drinking in all the conversation and all the chatter.
Vigo. You read those out loud for us. Vigo? Are you frozen? I think I've stunned him.
Oh God, he's frozen.
Show me to read it.
He's terrified.
Yeah, he looks terrified.
Yeah, go ahead. Wait, here he comes. He's coming back. He's coming right back.
Sorry, gentlemen.
Two of them.
We thought we just terrified you to death all of a sudden.
That cough is getting the better of me.
So now there's twins. There's 2 of them.
This is what you find in the newspaper, Vigo.
All right.
I'll pass it to you.
Gondolier murdered. Police have informed that the public that another terrifying murder has occurred. Paulo Rizzo, a gondolier, was found torn to pieces in his boat. Obviously, the work of an insane maniac. No, given to fluid language. The victim was almost completely drained of blood, and parts of his body were missing. Hopefully not any of the important parts. There are speculations that this murder may be tied to the one near Marana Glass Factory. Some of the evening's merrymakers claim to have seen death pulling a gondolier down the Grand Canal. Let's see, and then there's something that may be a little bit pertinent to our investigation from yesterday about the Black Death possibly returning. Local officials are concerned with the rising of the tides and the possible introduction of the dark, stagnant waters into the various rios that surround our homes and businesses. Foul tide waters have crept into low-lying houses and 2 churches. Several children who played in the water are now ill with black blotches spreading across their bodies. All children. People are talking of the Black Plague, which ravaged Venice twice in the 15th century. That would probably be us. Has it returned?
I say.
Well, no, it can't be us, can it? Because I mean, I thought from what we'd established so far from the things that we've read, I think they'd linked the plague was linked to the artifact, and we haven't found the artifact.
No, I was just saying us talking about the Black Death.
Oh,
yes.
right.
The few people that we spoke with. It was mainly in jest.
Was the other chap murdered a gondolier?
What was that?
The other murder the other night, was he a gondolier like this person was?
I don't think so.
Yesterday's paper?
Yeah, I think he was the fiancé to the woman that was screaming.
Is there...
The waiter comes over to refill your coffees, and as he's listening to you talking, he says, I do not mean to interrupt, but it's true, senors. One of my friends says that last night while he was out on the town with others, they saw the devil pulling a gondolier down the Grand Canal.
The devil.
Thank you for telling me.
He says it's absolutely true.
Can we? Do you think that we can speak to your friends? They can give us a bit more details of what they've seen.
If you like.
There'll be a tip in it for you if you can.
Well, they're going to be at work today.
Even so, I'll give you my card, and we're staying at the hotel.
I can tell my brother to come by tomorrow night or tonight.
Sounds good.
Thank you, senor.
But this is Venice. Surely that could just be someone on their way to a masquerade.
Sick sense of humour. Killing a gondola and then rowing his boat up and down the river all night dressed up as Death. A clown? Yeah. Death now.
So we get to meet them later on. Maybe they can give us a bit more information. We can look into... It says that some of these churches, let's see. Let me read this again.
What's the murder yesterday at the glass factory?
And the glass factory is just down the street from where you guys are.
Is that where the body was found yesterday?
Yeah, it was on the gate.
So that's the same.
We can look into these 2 churches and the homes and businesses where the stagnant water is coming in. And then we can also look on to some of these children who are falling ill. That might help us narrow things down.
Is anyone else aware of the Black Plague happening twice? It was just the once in 1797.
There's the Black Death and the Plague, wasn't there?
Oh, 2 separate things?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
An ongoing thing over a few hundred years.
Well, realize, too, that they didn't really have any concept of the diseases the way that we think they are. So,
right.
Black Death, Black Plague, anytime that people got something and they were all dying,
yeah,
that's a plague.
Yeah.
The black blotches is definitely Black Death.
Yeah.
They used to get the boils under the arms and stuff like that.
Bubonic plague.
Yeah, bubonic plague.
Very nasty disease.
Okay, yeah, if they come across mass graves of it, the archaeologists still have to wear the their special suits and everything like it to still be contaminated about 200 or 300 years after.
I think, though, that bubonic plague is actually easily treatable nowadays.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It is now, yeah.
Yeah.
Septicemic plague's the awful one, isn't it?
Well, and there's been other plagues too, mostly influenza that killed a large population.
Yeah. 1/3 of the world's population back in 1918.
Yeah, the malaria, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest one of all. So what would you like to do now?
Well, I think, assuming that we've finished our breakfast, I think maybe we should consider heading over to the library if it's open.
Okay.
These two murders have seemed to be in the same area, so they might all be linked to the same church. If the churches have got anything to do with that, do you think?
You could make that assumption. However, Venice itself is not very big.
Yeah. I'll follow you chaps to the library, I guess.
Yes. What time is it? Is the library open?
Oh, probably not. By the time we get there.
Well, you guys can linger around until the library is
yes, I think we're perfectly happy to
go through a few shops and stuff on the way.
It's also
down a
Sunday,
few
if that
Cafe
matters.
Negros and watch the comings and goings in the piazza until
I want to get measured
it's,
for a new suit at some point. I heard there's a good tailor here.
Is the library open on Sundays? Probably not.
Oh, it's a Sunday, is it? Oh.
Probably not. These heathens.
There's not going to be much going on at all, I doubt.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's an academic place. It is open on Sunday.
Oh, sheesh.
Half day, maybe.
We'll just say it closes. Probably closes at 5.
Not all savages.
Hey, this was once the wealthiest and most powerful city in the world.
Yep, that is true.
But it's down to breeding, isn't it?
And then they started to open up their shops and libraries at 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's when they became less powerful.
That's because everyone in Venice is going to fantastic parties until the early hours of the morning, which is arguably the most civilized thing anyone could do.
They're not inviting our Salvage, so they can't be out to lunch. It'd be nice to go to a party, a masquerade ball or something with great wheeze.
I think I'm going to find a librarian, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're heading to the library?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're all going in the group.
All right.
Let's go to Lizzie.
All right. So let's say you get to the library. And I would like to know more or less specifically what you're looking for.
I would like to inquire with the librarian. Actually, do we have the if Dr. Dawkins could loan me the wax seal?
Sure.
For a moment.
Sure.
I'd like to ask if there is any central record of family crests or guild marks or trademarks of local businesses.
She says there's a book that's the equivalent of the General Armory. It shows all family crests and everything registered.
Okay. Well, given that it's a visual search, then I suppose I'd best find a copy of this book and sit down and start leafing through it. Really.
She takes you to the reference section, and it's not a valuable book. There's multiple. It's something you can purchase, but it is about that thick.
Yes. Right. I'll settle in for the long haul and.
Let's see.
Unless it's indexed in any way.
Does she have
it's
2 copies?
Ah, well.
Does she have 2 copies of those?
No.
No.
For one.
I was going to try to split your workload, but
yes, this may take some time.
Well, I'll let you do a library roll.
Okay. Nope.
Okay, so you're thumbing through that book. Anybody else want to try something?
I guess I will look for any reference to weeping statues. I mean, that's not a everyday occurrence. It's got to, someone had to written down something about it.
Yeah, you find lots of things.
Lots of things.
Yeah, that the statues in St. Marcos wept just before the influenza outbreak. They wept before every disaster that's ever happened. People will claim that statues weep, statues bled. There's no pictures. There's no eyewitnesses.
Can I kind of cross-reference a time? So Napoleon invaded Venice, and that's when we imagine the leg showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way for me to see if the statues wept any time before or after that specific date, like kind of nearby it?
There's nothing that seems to indicate that anything like that happened. But then there was nothing tragic that happened. You do find references in other books for other Christian cities around the world that claim more or less the same sorts of things.
All right.
But,
help me.
There's a place in Greece that claims when the candle holders start to swing that there's going to be an earthquake someplace. Wonder why the candle holders would swing for an earthquake.
Can't figure
Okay. Well, if since you brought up other Christian cities, what about Istanbul, Constantinople?
Oh yeah. All sorts of stories. The icons in the churches all began to weep before the Turks invaded and destroyed the city, before the Crusaders arrived.
Okay.
It seems to be.
It was the Christian.
It seems to be a general, almost a superstitious colloquialism that, and it's always in hindsight. It's never witnesses seeing it happen. It's them 100 years writing the history and saying, and this happened. So
okay, well, that's kind of odd that people are now saying, and it happened. But there are people who have first-hand accounts and stuff like that.
You start to get the general impression that it's just superstition.
So that was kind of my idea, guys. Anybody got anything?
So right above my head, I'll check on with me.
Somebody mentioned, because I'm not good at this library stuff, but I don't remember if it was sort of brushed aside. But we had that reference to the war, the Montegrappo battle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if there's any sort of soldier registry that would contain the name Marco.
Oh, Marco would probably be a very common name.
Probably the most common name in Venice. St. Mark is the patron saint of the city. But yes, there would be. There wouldn't necessarily be here in the library, but perhaps in the arsenal, there would be military records and all that. But there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and it's like,
well, what
John
these...
Marco, Mike Marco, Sam Marco.
Well, 21,000 people died in that battle.
Right.
Would there be a list or registry for certain businesses in Venice within the past 20 years?
Well, sure, there's like the Yellow Pages. Well, I don't know if they have the Yellow Pages, but let's say something like it.
Just start calling every Marco in Venice.
Well, no. I was looking for. My theory about the stonemasons. See if there's a business like that in the Yellow Pages or White Pages.
So is that what you want to do?
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
All right. I don't think that you need a library roll to look up stonemason in the Yellow Pages. Yeah, there's quite a few. In fact, brickworking, working with marble, all that is fairly common occupation. I'd say there's probably at least 36 people.
Here's the other question: does each of these businesses have their own sort of emblem in the Yellow Pages?
Some have a logo, some don't. You don't see anything that looks like
a
cherub. But then there's a lot of them that don't. Just
What about instead of business like masonry? What if we focus more on like artistry, like sculpture? Who does figures or statues?
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and do a library roll for that one? You're looking specifically for
you want me
sculpture.
You want me to look for it?
Yeah, I'll help you look.
All right. And I make it.
There are kind of two categories of sculptures. There's artists that actually create new stuff, and there's people who restore statuary. And there's once again a half dozen, maybe 24 people like that. None of them that have this symbol that you see.
Anyone close? I mean, any place closest to the St. Marcos, to the church?
Sure.
How many of those?
The city's not that big. You could walk across Venice in an hour.
Okay.
It might be the person who would restore the older statues. I don't know. I don't know. That's you guys.
How am I getting on with the big book?
You're up to B.
Is there anything I can do to help research? If I could look up a few books.
If you want to look something up, go ahead.
I'd give something a try. Give Elizabeth a hand because she seems to be paddling uphill. 09.
Wow.
That's Chris Gordon.
Okay. It seems to be that looking in the armory is going to take you hours and hours. And after you've worked on it for 20 minutes and you're going through it, you think, what if I skipped a page accidentally, or there were 2 pages stuck together? How am I ever going to know that I've completely, thoroughly looked through this? So even though you made your roll, you don't find anything new there.
Right, fair enough. At least I feel I've done something there.
How about any research? Is there any information on this Devil's book?
Nothing more than you've already found.
Okay.
You already have it in your possession.
There's no index or way of cross-referencing this book to look for specific professions, is there?
Not in this case, because it's just a listing of names and their crests.
Are we all in the same room looking? I would assume that Yellow Pages and things will be in the reference section as well.
Sure.
It's not a very big library, I don't think.
Can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
I'll carry on looking and just say, I'm just going to carry on leafing through it, but I will make a suggestion while I'm doing it. I'll just say, look, it occurs to me that you're looking for sculptors and masons, but this wax seal it's holding a mannequin or a doll or something, isn't it?
You're thinking toy maker?
Well, it could be like a toy maker or like a doll's hospital or a puppet. I don't know. I'm thinking of Geppetto there.
A tailor.
Well, it could be like a manufacturer of like mannequins for tailors or something like that, couldn't it?
Maybe so. I was thinking of going to have a suit made. I can always have a wander around look into it.
So maybe we should broaden the
Actually,
look through a few more things in the Yellow Pages. tailors, toy makers.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. The
toy shops. Well, no, maybe not toy shops. It looks. I don't know though. A cherub is like a child, isn't it?
Yeah.
Usually, well, because I'm going to go and get measured
But then
up.
it could, but that could be a dead end anyway. It might just be like a family crest. So,
well,
I want to get a suit anyway.
I'm sorry.
So I want to get a suit anyway. I can go to his tailor, get measured up. While I'm there, I can ask him about this, whatever it is we're looking at, any clues and stuff. At the end of it,
local knowledge. I mean, if they're a local business, if they're a local businessman, they might recognise the.
Yeah. At the worst, I'm still going to end up with a suit. So I might as well go and do that. I'm not doing anything productive here, really. So.
Would we be able to just using a thin piece of paper and a pencil or something? Would we be able to take a very carefully, gently, just take a rubbing of the wax seal?
Sure.
It's
not very complicated. You could probably just draw it.
Okay.
Or we could put a page out. Too full? Is that the line?
We could sketch it out.
Quick. Okay. I shall take your sketch on, and I shall meet you back at the hotel when you're going to be here another couple of hours, I'm sure.
I think by the looks of it, I'm going to be here for some time.
Well, if you're not here, I'll meet you back at the hotel.
Okay.
Before anything goes on, the reference desk librarian comes back over and she says, "How are we getting on? Are you finding what you're looking for?"
I'm afraid not. No, I'm trying to find this particular symbol here. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's not anything you recognise, is it? Because
you show her the seal.
Yes.
She takes one glance at it and she says, "Oh, that's the Gramancy family. They're doll manufacturers."
Dolls.
Probably the most famous doll manufacturers in the city.
Are they really? And they're still in business, are they? They're
barely.
Barely. Where would we find them?
She says, "I'm not exactly sure of their address, but you can. There's probably stuff."
Well, my friend Dr. Dawkins here is sitting there with the yellow pages. I'm sure it would be but a moment's work for him to find out where they're located.
How do you spell the family name again?
Let me get it for you. It is spelled Gremancis. Oh, MCI. S is Gramancies. The Gramancy family.
Gramancies. Well, that's frightfully good luck.
She says they've been in business for hundreds of years.
Aha. So it was a doll.
She says, I have a Gramancy doll in my house that I had as a little girl. She says, every little girl in Venice has a Gramancy doll.
Oh, I see. So they're almost like the Venetian equivalent of the German Steiff bear, then.
He says, "I'm sure there's more references. If you want to look them up, there's probably even a book on them."
Oh yes. Yeah, very good. Yes, I'd like that. That sounds very interesting.
Okay, so she quickly finds you a few things. First piece of information. In the 19th century, the Gramancy family made special orders, singing birds and figures, with such craft that they seemed alive. Indeed, the superstitious declared that they used magical arts to bring them to life. The Doge himself has a number of them in his palace. Let's see. Why don't you guys, let's see. Oh, here's another one. The invading French at the end of the 18th century recognized the excellence of the Gramancy artisans, buying gifts for children and mistresses. Their dolls were in every fashionable Parisian nursery in the early 1800s. Although they've fallen out of fashion now, they remain popular as tourist souvenirs, and every Venetian girl has a Gramancy doll. And if you'd like to do a library roll, let's say Dr. Elizabeth.
That's a success, yes.
Okay. You find one other reference. In 1630, a certain Alvise de Gramancy was investigated by the secretive and terrible Council of Ten after an anonymous letter was dropped in the Boca de Leon, the lion's mouth, accusing him of making dolls in the image of their political enemies and burning them so that the enemy would die in terrible pain. The Council of Ten, however, decreed that there was no truth in these accusations.
Interesting.
I say.
So he was on the receiving end of the state inquisitors.
And you do find that the Gramanza family, their doll factory is on the Campo della Bambino in the Cannaregio district.
I think we should head there because they might have
part
records of people who made or ordered parts years ago.
Well, they might also have an explanation for why their seal was on this scroll that we found.
Well, if it's to do with statue parts or doll parts, they could have been commissioned to make some sort of doll for somebody, so it could be connected this way and that way to it about the actual manufacturers.
Well, let's hope the rumours aren't true, shall we?
Well, yes, definitely.
I hate to think what would happen if something like one of these objects that you've previously found was incorporated into some sort of automata.
Realize that was 1630 that he was investigated.
Yes, I can imagine. Very superstitious time. Well, it strikes me that this shop is something that many people in Venice are going to be familiar with, so it should be easy for us to get directions if we get lost. Perhaps we should take a trip.
Definitely, most definitely.
How's everyone else getting on with their research? Does anyone want to stay here a little longer?
Oh, I think we've had all fill of the library for now. I can use some fresh air myself.
Rather.
I want to give Simon one more thing because I feel like I cheated him when he got that 9. You also find a cross-reference accidentally for Gramancy in the Yellow Pages, and you're sure it's the same address. They also do prosthetic limbs.
Prosthetic limbs.
Could we have a look at the note that was left in the thing again?
Sure. I'll bring it up.
Would the style of these dolls be like the ones where they're made out of ceramic, like the ceramic head?
Yes, probably.
Did you not say when you first came across the arm, doesn't it look like the arm of whoever's looking at it at the time, like as regards to moles and marks and stuff like that?
Yes, correct.
Which makes it sound like it could be a magical crafted prosthetic limb.
But this does say that his statue was broken and I had no material to repair it.
No, the statue is like what's Dorian Gray's picture painting? The statue takes the damage rather than the painting does for Dorian Gray. But no.
I don't know. Might perhaps be. I mean, someone might be walking around.
Because we
I don't know if it would the leg would it make a. I mean, you said that when you tried to destroy these things, when you tried to damage these things, you found that they were indestructible.
And they're life size, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, indestructibility would certainly be a good selling point for a prosthetic limb.
Not unless somebody would.
But then they'd also be flexible and what would I use?
If it could be like a Frankenstein's monster idea. Maybe he was replacing himself bit by bit.
I need to interject something because of what Mick said. None of you have ever tried to destroy the pieces that you've had.
Oh, I thought you tried to damage it.
I thought we did that in the laboratory where we tried to burn it, and we tried to. Oh wait, that was the Fez hat.
You're thinking of the Fez hat.
Oh, that was yes, the Fez. Oh, of course it was. Yes.
What on earth are you trying to burn hats for?
We're talking about
that's right. You were trying to.
That's a whole nother story.
But yeah, it's just a prosthetic limb. But it just made, and the fact that you said that the limb looks, when you look at the statue part, it looks like whoever is gazed upon it, their arm, it becomes like a replica with birthmarks and stuff, which would be ideal for a prosthetic limb, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the easiest way I would imagine to solve this would be to actually to visit the shop,
make a life-size doll, and you will
find out if someone there was responsible for leaving, which I imagine they would be, whether the person who left his scroll is still there, still alive, still working there, one of the family. I mean, it might just be someone who, I don't know, maybe even the scroll, the seal might even be a complete red herring to throw people. But it seems like a sincere letter. I think we should.
All right, I have a
nice day.
Thought. I have a thought. The GM mentioned it in passing, and it raised a red flag for me. I don't know if I should say it or not.
Say it.
Say it.
Say it. He mentioned, and I don't know how to pronounce it. Doge.
The Doge.
Doge of Venice.
He mentioned the Doge has a number of the dolls. The Doge is rich, an aristocrat.
He was blind as well.
The Doge probably there is no Doge any longer.
Oh,
and he was blind, wasn't he? He was completely blind, from what I remember.
Well, the last Doge was after, it was just before Napoleon.
Yes,
he changed
the
end. The Gramancy family has been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years, long before Napoleon.
Yeah, but the Battle of Monte Grappa only happened in World War I. That
is true.
Yeah.
Well, yes, so that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
5.5 years ago, really.
Because the Doge's mansion, I mean, it's a possibility that there could be some connection, but I don't see how it's possible.
I was just trying to think.
Well, I mean, how it's going to be a difficult matter to get in and out, to get up to something strange during the war. Bear in mind, it was the fun year of the war.
Well, it's a different theatre to the theatre I was involved in. Otherwise, I might have been able to chip in something, but I was on the French area.
So, what's your plan?
Go to visit this Grimashi doll shop, or whatever it was described as, and maybe see if they'd grant us maybe to some.
Well, I think I'd quite like to buy my friend a doll actually while I'm here. I mean,
good idea.
I think it might make a pleasant gift for Hester.
And if we could sweet talk them into looking at their ledgers, especially from a long time ago, we might come across a name that might link it up to everything else.
Maybe drop the name Marco, see if anything happens.
I don't know if they'd recognise it, but if we looked it up in the old ledgers, we might find it for ourselves. I mean, I shouldn't imagine they'd protest. It's not like we're looking at their books.
The letter
now.
Well, the letter doesn't sound like it was written by someone who's ashamed of what they're doing. They were doing it, they said, for the best of reasons.
But if that name also appears in the records, we know this family made it, in which case it might have been one of the speciality ones they made.
Right, well, shall we set off and find the shop then?
Let's set off.
Okay.
Maybe stop for a sherry on the way, maybe.
In that case, then our retinue leaves the biblioteca.
Okay.
And
So
we should go in search of the shop. I'm sure if we get lost at any point, we can ask for directions. It seems like.
Okay, so you head into the Canaraggio district, and there are businesses that seem to be doing well, and there are businesses that seem to be, in the stages of dilapidation. You pass a small cafe that's actually quite busy. It looks like with students from the university. You do notice there's black shirts here and there, and you pass an occasional argument between the black shirts and some students, probably because the students are more inclined to be communist than fascist.
Let's not get too involved with that.
Let's see. There's let's see. You find there's a couple of you actually do go buy a map and bookshop. Seems to be more tourist trap than anything else. And you finally find a building on the just off the Rio de San Cas, and it's a big brick building built in the 14th century. I take that back. It's a stone building built in the 14th century. It's actually pretty well maintained. And you notice also that there are a number of tables, probably from the cafe and stuff like that, with some fairly haggard-looking gentlemen sitting at them, all of them with war wounds. So they're smoking. Some of them are coughing. Some of them have missing body parts, missing arms, missing legs. And they're all sort of hanging around now, getting the closer you get towards the entrance, the more you find these people. And they're not just sitting there. They're drinking coffee. They're smoking. They're playing cards.
I'll go over to them and strike up a conversation with them.
Okay.
I'll speak French to them first.
Okay. Well, three at a table. Two of them don't speak French, but one of them does.
Or Anglais. I would speak English if it's more easier, but I thought they'd be more likely to speak
None
French.
of them speak English. But in conversation, you learned that they're all, they were injured in the war, and they tell you that the Gramanzi family, after the war, although they continue to manufacture dolls for little girls, they turned a large portion of their business into creating artificial limbs for soldiers at extremely good prices, and in fact, oftentimes for free, if the soldiers can't afford them.
Oh, thank you. I thank you for that. I shall buy them a drink before I leave, and thank them very much.
Oh, wow. That is not good news.
So what are we going to do? Do you think it's worth checking inside there?
I'd quite like to buy a doll.
Okay. It just means that there's going to be no physical paper trail.
You also learn from various bystanders as you're chit-chatting with them that there are only 2 Gramancies left. There's Sebastiani, the old man, and his son, Antonio, who was injured in the war. He was in World War I.
And they're probably not making very many dolls nowadays if they're concentrating on limbs.
Well, they still have a few people working there, but
Most
they're the only 2 Gramancies left, and so it's just a matter of time.
Who else feels like Sebastian, the old man, is probably our best bet?
I think so.
Yes. By the tone of the letter, I would think you're right.
Definitely.
Okay, so you head towards the front entrance. Once you step inside, there's just like a little foyer and a sort of a waiting room next to it. And the waiting room is pretty much full of war veterans that are waiting to be seen. They're playing, like I say, smoking cigarettes and playing cards.
I walk with a limp anyway with my cane, so I probably don't stand out that much for being there, you know.
You guys are in there for maybe only 5 minutes or so, and a door opens, and an older gentleman with obviously an artificial limb is coming out, and there's an even older man who very much looks like Geppetto, sort of escorting him back, and he says, he says something in Italian, but Vigo, you translate that. He's saying, basically, if you have a difficulty, adjustment, and we'll fix you right up. So I hope it works out for you. And he looks over at one of the patrons, and he's like, I believe you're next. You guys want to do anything at this point?
I was going to let Liz take the lead because she wanted to buy the doll, didn't you?
Can I inquire? I mean, I don't know if he speaks English, but if I can inquire via our translator, as to whether they still sell dolls.
He doesn't speak English, so it's through Vigo.
Okay.
And he says, "Oh, you want to order a doll, or you want to buy a doll?"
Yes, my friend here wanted to buy a doll for a souvenir.
He's like, well, at the moment we're very busy, but if you don't mind waiting, why don't you come with me and if you don't mind waiting for a few minutes while I do this man's fitting.
Of course.
So he takes you in, and you go past a little office, and inside the office you see a gentleman who looks a lot younger, probably in his late 20s, sitting behind a desk doing paperwork. And in this room there are big, gigantic leather-bound volumes all across. They don't look like books. They look like maybe ledgers.
That's what we need. That's
lots and lots of
what
them.
we want.
And what he does is he takes you past that office to kind of a finishing room where he has the soldier set up on a table, and he starts measuring him for this leg, this artificial limb that he's come to retrieve.
Okay.
And all you're basically seeing is him doing that.
Okay. I will just I'll just wait patiently and politely for him to finish what he's doing.
Okay. Just as he's finishing up, he looks over at you guys, and he's like, it's almost like, oh, I'd almost forgotten about you. And he yells out, he goes, Antonio, like this. And after a few seconds, you hear what's probably that younger guy coming from his office in here, and you can tell that he's got a limp before he even gets there. And as he's coming in, I want to describe Antonio as a man who, under any other circumstance, would be kind of a handsome-looking man. But the war has had a terrible toll on him. He's gaunt. He's limping. He's got a cane that he limps with, and he carries in his hand a little handkerchief that you can see seems to be stained. And he comes in and he's like, what do you need, Papa? And he says, these gentlemen, they've come, they want to see our dolls. They want to choose one, perhaps for your granddaughter or.
For a friend.
And he says, "Oh," he says, "All right, I'll show you." So he says, and now Antonio speaks English. So as soon as he realizes you speak English, he says, "Well, I can speak English if that's easier for you."
Oh, that's perfectly fine.
He says, "You have a cough too." He says, "I myself, unfortunately, I breathed in some mustard gas during the war."
Ooh.
Oh my goodness!
Bradshaw.
Yes, I continually cough up blood. But he says, he's limping. You can tell his leg is stiff. He's got pants on, but you can tell it's stiff. It's probably artificial.
Which leg is he limping
with? He's limping with his right leg. Mm-hmm. Okay. So he takes you in, and you can definitely see there's a large portion of this that's devoted to manufacturing artificial limbs. Mm-hmm. Very similar process. Past that, there are a number of older gentlemen who are working on dolls and manufacturing things. And he says, normally, our dolls are nowadays they're made to order. But if there's something, on one of the shelves that you like, he notices Rupert limping. And he says, I notice you're limping. Do you have an artificial limb?
No, it's just a slight wound from the old war, old chap.
He says, "Oh, you were in the war."
Yes, pilot, old chap, pilot.
Oh, I've never met a pilot. That's very interesting.
There's a few of us about. If you ever need anything, we've flown anywhere. I'm your man.
That's very interesting. He says, perhaps we can chat afterwards. I
would love to.
There's some nice bars around here. We should get a drink.
That'd be an excellent idea, and you'd be less busy and be able to chat a bit better, wouldn't we?
And he shows you the doll operation, and you get a pretty good layout of the building. There's warehouses in the back, and there's doll parts everywhere, arms, legs, heads, all sorts of things. Most of the more delicate parts are made out of porcelain. So, and they're very beautiful, all these dolls. So do you see anything that you like?
I think I'd like to, if possible, try and find a nice auburn head doll.
Oh, okay. That's a choice. So he finds you one that's very pretty, and he gives you a price on it, and it's not cheap, but it's not common either. It's a beautiful porcelain doll.
Well, I think it's a gift for someone I care about a great deal. So I won't try and haggle. I shall simply pay the price that's asked.
Okay. So he has one of his men package it up very nicely. He guesses that you're probably going to want to ship it back to wherever you come from, England.
Oh, this will be going back to the United States.
So he actually gives you a little bit better box, one that's almost like a little crate to put it in. And he very lovingly, packs tissue around it, and they still have extremely high quality. He tells you that there was a time that, they were manufacturing dolls for the king, for the Doge, and they were a very powerful aristocratic family, and even as it is, with the two of them as all that's left, they still have some influence in the city, because everybody loves the Gramanzi dolls.
We've heard a great deal about your dolls. We're told that every girl in Venice owns one.
He says, I do believe that may be true. He says, and you also start to get from his conversation that he does not like the fascists. Okay, he keeps going back to the war. He saw what the Arditi did during the war, and it basically became one of win the war at all costs, and they became monsters. And now the Arditi have turned themselves into the black shirts, and he thinks that they're scum. So, but he says at the same time they still buy our dolls and stuff. So if you have any trouble with them, you talk to me. And anyways, at this point, he's basically given you the tour, and you've purchased the doll.
I shall thank him and arrange an appointment.
I couldn't help but notice that you seem to walk with a limp as well. Did you happen to lose your leg during the war?
I did. And he shows you. He says it's actually some of the best work that my father ever did. And he lifts up his pants, and in this case it's carved out of wood, and it's exquisite. The joints on it are beautiful, and it's polished, and
that is some impressive work.
He says normally, we make them out of ceramic and other parts, but in this case, he made it out of wood. It's heavy.
Would he do us the honor of maybe joining us as my guests for dinner tonight at the hotel with maybe his father?
Oh, that would be
my guests, of course. Yeah,
that would be extraordinary generous of you. Yes,
be a great way of getting to know two fine men like yourself.
Well, shall we go and have a drink?
Excellent. And then we can go on, have lunch and everything, and get to know each other better.
Okay. So
capital idea.
You walk back out, and you head just a little ways down the Rio, and there's a bar. It's not really super upper class bar, but it's it's an okay bar.
Good.
And there's a lot of soldiers and people there, and you really seem to hit it off with this guy. He's friendly and he's sympathetic towards you. You were in the war,
and the wine will flow.
What's that?
And the wine will flow.
Yeah. And so after a couple of hours, you guys are quite relaxed. And his demeanor towards you has become almost familial. You're like,
let's see if I can get Elizabeth drunk.
Friends.
See if we can get Elizabeth drunk.
Well, I'm a relatively substantial woman. It takes a lot to get me drunk, believe me.
He tells you a couple of other interesting bits. He has never married, simply because at this point there's no point.
I know what it means.
His lungs have been severely damaged by the mustard gas. He's probably not going to live very much longer. His father was married. He had a sister, and he had a brother, and the brother died in the war, and the sister died along with the mother of the influenza in 1918.
Yes, I think we all lost someone to the flu.
Yes, that was really horrible.
I'm going to try and let my companions steer the conversation more around towards the statue parts and stuff like that, because they know a lot more of what they're talking about than I do.
Well, he seems very interested in talking about the war and how he was injured alongside of his brother who was killed on Mount Grappa.
So you were involved in the Battle of Monte Grappa.
Yes, horrible battle.
Terrible, yes.
My brother Marco was killed.
Oh dear, how dreadful.
And he says, and now my father is doing everything he can to help the war veterans, but he's a little bit more generous than he should be, except that we're the last generation of this family, so we might as well go out with maybe God will grant us a boon, since
it is certainly an admirable pursuit.
And of course, he wants to hear all your stories as well. But you don't have to into that if you don't want to, unless you want to.
After a few wines, I go into a few stories, but nothing too overboard.
He's also really glad that none of you are German.
So am I.
I can imagine that after tangling with the Alpenkorps, I can well understand that. No, I'm well. I mean, obviously, my friends are for the most part Americans, but Rupert and I are English, and we've certainly no love for the Hun.
Well, yeah, live and let live, as long as they don't do it again.
So, what do you guys want to do?
I'm trying to think of a way to bring the subject to this statue, but I'm trying. Yeah, I don't have a really clean cut way of getting to that.
Well, I think, I mean, you know, by way of a whisper, sotto voce.
And remember, you guys are all a little drunk by now.
I'm kind of. I would lean towards leaving any discussion of the scroll until we have dinner with Antonio and his father this evening.
Okay. Where's the Venus de Milo kept? Out of interest, what museum keeps the Venus de Milo?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The Venus de Milo, the famous statue of Venus without
Venus
the
de
arms.
Milo?
I wonder what city. It's not in Venice or Milan or anything, is it? Or do the French have it?
Might be in Florence.
I thought I bought it. I'll put it into conversation just to steer it clumsily to statues.
Florence, or that's a good question. It might be
It's
in the Louvre.
It's Paris. It's in the Louvre.
It's in the Louvre, isn't it?
Yeah. So
his father's not with us right now, right?
No.
Will he be joining us for dinner?
Yes.
Excellent. That's where we better go before we get too drunk.
What time do you want to get together? He says we close the shop at 5.
Yeah, let's say 7 o'clock. Gives everyone plenty of time to sober up for the next round.
Okay.
What about Antonio? I heard some rumors that your father was, I mean, he's a talented sculptor and all, but he also collects sculptures.
My father?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say collects. I mean, we've got old dolls and things that we've manufactured in the in the shop. You can see them around, on display. But that's just because it's our business.
Yeah, no, I thought it was more like he had an artistic appreciation of, like, full-size statuettes.
Well, some of the things that our ancestors have made are in the Doge's palace. I mean, some of those are amazing. There's like a little clock that has birds on it that all sing, and there's all sorts of amazing.
Is that open to the public at this point?
Yeah, take tours.
I'd love to check that out.
That would be wonderful. I'm a big fan of automata.
Yeah, my father, he's completely devoted to doing the prosthetic limbs. My grandfather, he was very much very, very talented as far as the manufacturing of the dolls and the automata and things like that. But that goes way back in our family.
Can I ask you a question? Speaking of your grandfather, did you happen to serve alongside of maybe his grandson during the war?
My brother? I am his grandson.
No. His no. Sorry, I've just been drinking too much.
That's okay. That's okay. We're having fun.
Hey.
He says, but I drank a little too much, but I really do need to go back. And you gave me the address of your hotel.
Certainly, 7 o'clock.
You're staying at the Danielle?
Mm-hmm.
I know that place.
Excellent.
So we'll meet you there at 7 o'clock.
Look forward to it, old chap. See you then.
Right. And he says something to the bartender. It's like, it's on us. Don't, we'll pay the bill. And he's like, yeah. So, all right.
Gracias.
So he leaves. You're still there, but you guys can do something, or you guys can just skip ahead to dinner.
Well, I'm just thinking that when it comes to dinner, what sort of approach should we adopt? I mean, this man's been very he's been very open and upfront with us. I think we should do precisely the same with him and just come out and ask his father what he knows about this scroll.
I said it, but I didn't do it. All through this whole day, he's been coughing and occasionally coughing up blood. So he's definitely got lung damage.
And if we're getting on well with the son, it will encourage a good relationship with his father as well.
Perhaps we can, in conversation, bring up the statue's weeping. Kind of use that to our advantage and kind of roll that into a conversation.
Yeah, so trying to get it in there.
Just kind of, we read this in the paper, because everyone reads the paper, and then we kind of just go from there.
So I'm thinking...
I'm sorry. I read that. I sort of read that wrong. I was under the impression that these guys were the one who wrote the one who wrote the letter was the one who also owned the shop. But that doesn't seem to be the case here.
I wonder whether we should just simply, after dinner, just present them with the scroll and say, in as pleasant a way as we possibly can, we need to talk to you about this.
Yeah. They can't be connected with it at all. It's from hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Well, the person that stole it recently.
Yeah, because the scroll references the Battle of Monte Grappa.
Yeah, but this is where I'm getting confused. He says in a letter. It says, "I remember the old story at last. What else could I do? His grandson died on Monte Grappa alongside my dear Marco," which makes me think that these are two different individuals. His grandson and the person that he's talking is his grandson alongside of his Marco.
Well, I take it to mean that he took the leg.
No, but I'm just saying,
to help what sounds like a family friend to repair a statue.
Can I ask?
But when I asked him about his
I think honestly, this man's been.
This is where I'm getting.
He's been very good to us. He's treated us well. He's been generous and friendly, and I think it behoves us to be honest with him. I mean, obviously there is a limit to that honesty. We wouldn't want to tell him the whole story.
Of course.
We can simply say that it is very important for us to retrieve this object. We don't really have to tell him why, or we can possibly make up a more believable story. But
did we happen to get Antonio's grandfather's name?
Sebastian.
Sebastian's his father, I think, right?
Oh, we're talking about the grandfather?
The grandfather.
No, I don't think we got his name.
Because I think his grandfather's the one who has the leg.
Can I ask what we're doing right this second? We're still in the cafe? We're still in the bar? So then with that information, I kind of make a fist with my right hand and bang on the table and then immediately grip my left arm. And I am in very clear, very apparent pain. I'm like clutching my left side.
You're a cool chap.
I am panting. I'm not really speaking. My eyes are like cinched closed, and I'm gripping my left side.
I'd say, anyone know what's happening here?
Is there a doctor in the house?
It's left arm. It could be a heart attack. Is there a pain in your chest?
I shake my head. And I guess it's still going on. I haven't had any cue, so it's still. So I'm still clutching it.
It abates somewhat, but it stays sore.
All right. When it abates, when I feel a little bit less pain, I kind of cinch up my coat and look down at the table because I was in a very, very, very moderate amount of pain. It was not fun for me just that second.
What?
I'm saying.
Has this happened before?
I look to the two members of the original party, and I say, the statue. It's the statue.
Yeah.
And I look to Dr. Dawkins, and I say, has your chest been bothering you, or?
Dr. Dawkins has felt nothing wrong. Vigo has.
Oh, Vigo. Oh yeah, I forgot. We switched. I've had the arm for quite a while. Okay, so Vigo, have you had any intense pain? Have you been coughing up blood?
No, not blood, but I can't make it the day without these cigarettes. I tell you what.
I don't think that helps, but
it does. It does.
It does. Makes it all smooth.
Believe it or not, in the 1920s, they believed that smoking cigarettes strengthened the lungs.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's scientific fact.
Yes, asthma cigarettes were.
I saw an article in Vanity Fair about it. It's all science, you know.
Good for the Constitution.
I'm going to bring this up because this is kind of a serious topic. Clearly, the pain is getting worse in my left arm. Originally, when we got it, it wasn't that bad. And now it's affecting Vigo, and it's slowly getting worse.
I'll tell you what. Let's go back to the hotel. I'll give both of you an examination to see if there's any sort of superficial markings on your if you're afflicted with anything superficial.
Tom, can I ask what kind of pain it felt like? Was it like a stabbing pain? Was it like a burning pain? Was it a pressure?
For a moment, your arm became kind of numb and cold, and then it was almost like somebody jabbed you with a knife. That sort of pain.
Awesome, great.
Like what you imagine arthritis must be like.
Oh, okay. I was like imagining like filleting skin, but that's a fun thought. Okay. I'd be more than happy to take an examination, but I'm more concerned if passing the arm to another person, because we talked about rotating. Passing on to another person, it doesn't mean that the pain will go increasingly, but it starts from wherever it was to the next person and just continues going up. It's incremental.
I think last game we kind of discovered that transferring the items to another person doesn't help, doesn't affect the original person. It seems to be the person that touched it first is the one that's afflicted.
All right.
Well, if that's the case, if you chaps are experiencing this phenomenon, and we discovered from the records we found, we discovered that there was a mass phenomenon connected with the leg. They were able to abate that in some way by placing it in the reliquary. If we can find out why it was specifically placed in that reliquary, it might give us a clue to some way of insulating you two from the effects of these objects that you've already found.
I just had a thought, and generally my thoughts don't lead me anywhere, but this is actually like not an insane, crazy theory. Tom, what do we know? What leg we're looking for, the left or the right?
Every piece of information you've gotten so far has said left.
Okay. The sun's leg, is it the left or the right?
Right.
Damn it.
Mine's the left. Mine's the left. So
I was thinking, oh, well, I mean, this theory could still ring true, but not on the sun.
Wait a minute. Never mind. Go on.
I was just going to say that maybe we can narrow down the search of possible people who touched it or seen it or whatever by narrowing down people who have limps or currently or have no left leg or left leg or whatever. We can narrow it down from that way, because if it's whoever has touched it last, maybe someone has touched it recently, or someone in the past who's connected to Marco has touched it and has lost that left leg and has kept it, because it's clearly in the possession of someone.
thinking.
I'm confused because of this letter, because it talks about the statue being broken and the person stole it to fix the statue. And yet we're being, for lack of a better word, thrown maybe a red herring with this prosthetic limb. So
well, I'm not sure. I mean, wouldn't it be a friend of either of bear with me, the Gramancies?
Mm-hmm.
Someone, a family friend of either of the Gramancies, someone who lost his grandson at the Battle of Montegrappa.
Yeah, that's who I was trying to figure out.
And is a sculptor or a restorer.
When I was asking Antonio, was it?
Or perhaps just owns a statue, or looks at, or is responsible for somewhere where there is statuary. Or maybe
Frank,
has a statue in his home.
Frank, do you think that the statue that's broken could be the Sedef Karlakum? That they're getting that piece to put back the pieces?
What I'm thinking is that the statue that broke is just a normal statue, but they used the leg of the Sedevkar to replace the broken statue leg.
Which means that there's a statue with...
Right.
Yeah.
Oh!
And there's thousands of statues.
Right.
But no, I mean, Eldridge, I see what you're getting at here. Could it be, possibly, it may be someone who has just simply inveigled himself into the company of the Gramances and concocted a story about losing someone at the Battle of Monte Grappa and asked them for some reason to retrieve this leg that he was looking for to repair a statue. This might not be a family friend. It might be someone who's just inveigled himself into their company purely for the purposes of getting them. Perhaps they had some access to the basilica that he wished to exploit.
Yeah, and I had that thought because it says like, "Oh, forgive me" and stuff like that. To where we have to think that, okay, lots of people that we've been dealing with are all kind of part of this cult. It's clearly the cult is everywhere where the pieces are. We've dealt with them basically every stop. So we have to assume that they're here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he seemed like I would say that Antonio seemed like quite a friendly, open sort of person.
I don't think it's any of them. I think it may be.
But whoever has it may well know exactly what they have.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
They could lead us to him. Like I say, if we get on well with them, they let us look at the historic books and ledgers. We can maybe. But
would that be if they've taken something to give to someone? I mean, why that wouldn't necessarily be in their ledgers, though, would it? Because they make prosthetic limbs and dolls. They don't keep a ledger of pieces of statues that they've stolen from.
They've had a reputation dating back to 16 something. So, that reputation was over quite a few years for a number of different things they made rather than just one. So
the building that they were in goes back to the 13th century. So
because I had that council.
The 14th century.
Did they seem wealthy?
No. It seems like there was probably at one point, like he says, at one point they were aristocrats, but now they're just business people. And the businesses, it's a successful business, but there's only 2 of them now.
Tom, are you okay if I kind of take the conversation a different way, or do you want to move forward?
I'll give you that option. You could spend this whole game just speculating. Sometimes you should just see what happens. But
the Gramancy family, are they what might be referred to as Barnabotti?
I don't know that word.
That's it's like a sort of loose-knit society of impoverished former aristocrats.
I don't know that that's the case. I'd say it's more like at one time they were a very powerful family in Venice, and along the way they just sort of become bourgeoisie. They just became business people, and the business is just slowly, by one degree or another, has slowly been fading.
Okay. What I wanted to bring up before we go to dinner is There have been no strange things happening in Venice until we showed up. Right? Like,
pretty much.
Yeah.
So we kind of, by the law of cause and effect, something that we did is what's prompting. Hey, this is Eldritch. This isn't Walton Sanders. This is Eldritch. I didn't do anything. Something that we did has prompted these events. So I don't know. I'm just trying to think back to what we may have done to have prompted.
Well, that's something could have been your recovery of the other pieces of the simulacrum. You said that you've met people who were also looking for them.
That's true.
If they know that they have competition, then it might be reasonable to assume that might spur them into action to seek the other pieces.
But why kill the gondolier and the fiancé, assuming that they're related? It could be completely unrelated.
Precisely.
Why kill them and not directly come after us? So I don't think it's the cult. I think it may have been something that we did. Like, not something that, like, we did previously, and then the cult caught up, and then they're doing something, but we, like, grabbed something and moved something, and then that prompted whatever's been going on.
Or perhaps connected with your experiences in Milan.
True. It could be connected to what happened to the old man, whose name I can't remember.
Faccia.
But Faccia, that's what his name was. I knew it started with an F. Because he was devoured alive, essentially, and then found on the roof of the basilica. So I don't know. Do we think that something is following us?
It's possible.
But perhaps something is following the pieces of the simulacrum.
Two quick questions. One, okay. I'm going to forget both of them. Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Thomas wasn't here with us last week, he was with us in game, right?
Yeah, both.
So we can say, okay. Would Eldridge and Vigo, did they happen to notice their pain subsiding when we were inside the Church of St. Mark's?
Not particularly.
Okay. Oh, and my other question was, I wonder if by bringing the other two pieces of the statue to Venice, if somehow we are increasing the strength of, like, the more pieces we gather, the stronger these things get.
That's a question I can't answer.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that out loud to the group.
That maybe that brings up a good point. Maybe by finding the pieces and getting them together, it's kind of breaking down a metaphysical veil, allowing something through.
Yeah.
And it's what's killing and attacking these people.
Here's a question for Eldritch. Has the pain in your arm worsened ever since we picked up the torso?
No.
No.
No?
And I believe this is the first. I believe this is the first increase. Am I right, Tom?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's to lay it out for you. The first couple of times you thought you just like snagged your fingers in the door, and then maybe picked something up and wrenched your arm the wrong way, and then you realized that you thought you were sleeping on it wrong, and it's gotten increasingly more. It's there more often than it was, but yeah, this is the first time you had a stabbing pain.
Okay, so but this is also the first pain I've had since we picked up the torso.
You've had aches.
I've had aches. All right.
Did we ever contact Dr. What was his name? Orient, where we got the original arm from?
Dr. Lorien?
Lorient. Did we ever contact him to find out, did they get better when we left with the arm?
They did. In fact, they seemed a lot better the next day.
That's what I thought.
So maybe it's not direct contact. Maybe it's direct contact plus being near other pieces.
Well, with what you said about the similarity between the death of the gentleman in Milan and the deaths that have occurred here.
So he was found on a spike.
That began when you found yourself in Milan. Thus, with regard to what Frank said, you had the two pieces were in close proximity. This event happened.
Well, actually,
now we're somewhere where we have three in close proximity, and a similar murder is happening. It does sound like something is following the pieces.
Yeah, and you brought that up, and that's a perfect thing. Facci was found on the roof of a building. The fiancé was found on a spike, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
He had been lifted up and put on a spike, so this thing clearly can fly. Great.
And the girl, the fiancé the girl is now in the police custody.
We may want to go talk to her somehow.
We may want to see if Antonio's family's influence extends as far as the police force.
Yeah. But that's all I have. That's all I have for right this second.
We've got 14 minutes left in the game.
I think we must keep our wits about us. I mean, it does sound as though
we may not be doing much, but hey, this is good character build.
As long as you guys are enjoying yourselves, I sure am.
I know. I can see you over there with a dirty smirk.
Yeah.
This entire time.
No, there's nothing I love more than the fact that you guys are really getting into trying to figure it out, and that's what you're supposed to do.
I know.
Nothing more terrifying than a smiling keeper.
I know. But do we? So what time is it? It's lunchtime.
Yeah, this is lunch, gentlemen. Black tie, of course.
at lunch.
Well, evening lunch.
The question was whether you wanted to jump ahead to dinner or if you had something else you wanted to do. You still have actually plenty of time in the daytime.
Do we want to go see that, try and meet with the police and see if we can meet that?
Well, I was going to check both you and Vigo over.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay close to Eldridge just in case he needs a bit of support.
Let's go through the doctor's examination.
Yeah,
sure.
That's a good idea.
So then you're going back to the hotel?
Yeah.
Or were you splitting up? You're going back to the hotel.
I'm going back to the hotel.
Okay.
I'm going to buy some English cigarettes as well.
All right, so you get back to the hotel and you guys freshen up, and Dr. Dawkins does an exam of both of you. Doesn't find anything physically wrong with either one of you, and he can't explain why. You seem to be Vigo seems to be wheezing, and you seem to have pain in your arm.
Well, as Dr. Dawkins is doing the investigation, because I'm good with people, and he's literally looking at Vigo, I'm going to look over and I say, well, at least it's just my arm. If I lose my arm, that's fine, but I mean, you lose a torso, they're kind of dead.
Is it any people that have touched it? You have to physically touch it before it starts affecting you? Or can it affect you if it's in the area?
Well, for these two, it's been affecting them, and they haven't been touching it. They've been away from it, and it's still affecting them.
So if
But we
my
were the first to touch it.
so if my
We
left leg
inspect the
goes all of a
pieces.
sudden, we know. If my left leg goes all of a sudden, we know the leg's going to be in the area.
Are you able to unwrap and inspect the pieces
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and see if there's been any change in the appearance or composition?
Dr.
Those-
Dawkins, have we ever tried moving the pieces close together?
How do you have them?
tried?
How do you have them right now?
The left arm is in my suitcase. It's in my trunk, my steamer trunk.
Have you tried joining it to the torso at all?
No, we haven't.
No.
Is that a good idea?
I don't know if it's a good idea, but I just asked.
I was just wondering if we ever tried that, because maybe that could produce something. Not a good something, but it produce something.
We don't really.
Well, we can try it.
Understand the purpose of the.
We're going to have to assemble it at some point anyway, aren't we?
I'm going to say, damn you, Eldritch. You just sparked my scientific curiosity.
I know. That's why I asked you specifically if we did a controlled experiment.
Let's try this. It's not going to be controlled. But
Well, no.
All right, Dr. Dawkins. Why don't you try it?
Okay, I'll try it.
Put some gloves on at least.
It's not going to matter. So, you two bring out the two pieces to me.
Boy, tell me what you're going to do.
We're going to try. We're going to try.
Pretend like you're standing there in the room. I know what you're going to try. Just tell me physically exactly what you are doing.
So we have.
Step by step.
So we have the torso, and which is it's the right arm or is it the left arm?
Where,
the left
where
arm.
It's the left arm, but
Left arm?
where is the torso?
Torso's in my trunk.
Do you want me to unpack it for you, mate? As you're not feeling too good.
Yeah.
So the trunk is in your room, and the arm is in Eldritch's
In my room.
Yeah.
So I would go grab it and bring it in.
All right. Well,
I lay it on the bed.
Eldritch.
Yeah.
When you go to retrieve the arm,
Don't tell me it's not there. Please don't tell me it's not there.
the lock on your trunk is.
Oh, I hate you! No! Get away from me, Tom!
And
hate
you
you.
open up the trunk, and the arm is there. But it's been unwrapped, and it's just laying there on top of everything.
Can I do a spot hidden in the room?
Sure.
Alright, let's do it. Do it too. What's my spot hidden? 65. 34! Alright, we're good.
That's all you see is that. Except that somebody is. It's not the way that you left it.
Okay, which means...
Torso.
I got another 8 minutes.
Your lock is also broken.
Dun, dun,
And the
dun.
torso is not the same way that you left it. It's not wrapped up anymore. However, when you open it up, both pieces are dark purple, and as they're exposed to the light, they begin to turn lighter. This is that they have every time.
All right. Vigo's gonna take it down to where we're meeting. Are we meeting in Dr. Dawkins' room?
Much so. Careful, Dawkins, old chap.
Hey, this whole operation is all about risk, with very little reward.
Yeah, but even so, old chap, take it easy.
I'm gonna lay it on his bed and then walk. Like, I'm still curious, so I'll be kind of in the doorway, but I'm definitely gonna put some distance between me and this thing. If it's causing my cough.
Okay.
I guess
So you lay down in the bed.
There's
Alright,
a hand on the arm. So there you go. For yours.
I will take the torso and sit it on a table. Sit it upright. Then I'll grab the arm. And is there like a clear sort of seam where I can try to put it on?
Both pieces at the point where they would join are perfectly flat.
All right, so I will try to attach it, and I will turn it until it seems to be lined up.
As you approach the arm to the torso, you can get them within about a millimeter of one another, and somehow they repel one another.
Magnets.
Magnets.
You can't put the two pieces together.
I say.
Interesting.
Weird show, eh? What?
You know what? This might sound idiotic, but let me try the other side. Same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
But they're not made of metal, are they?
We don't know what it's made out of.
Oh.
It's clearly closer to ceramic than anything else, but
nothing you'd expect.
You've never seen anything ceramic like this.
Especially a magnetic repulsion film sort of thing.
Yeah, it's clearly there's some sort of magnet in there repelling it.
Or
perhaps it won't let you do it.
Do we still have the scroll? We still have that scroll.
Yeah.
Were there any sort of like? Because I don't have this. I personally don't have the scroll. I think Jeff might.
Yes.
I was wondering if there's some sort of incantation or something like that.
The scroll that you have is the scroll of the head.
For the head.
It describes the parts, and it describes it mentions that there is a way to join them, but it's not in this scroll.
Okay. All right.
I just remembered something, and I'm gonna bring that up. It's kind of like kind of explains why the pieces aren't missing. What if the cult broke in just to see if we have them, to know if we have them? I mean, so to destroy them, we need to bring it to Constantinople. To put the pieces together and do some sort of crazy evil, you need to be in Constantinople. What if they're just making sure that we still have them, making sure they know where it is, because we're taking it there anyways.
Well, it certainly makes sense from their perspective, doesn't it? That if they're keeping an eye on you, then basically you're doing their job for them.
Yeah, and getting the side effects instead of them.
They probably wouldn't have been that blatant about it, though. They probably would have tried to remain secret.
Who knows how many people are after this thing? I mean, it's...
Yeah, they're in every city.
Can I do a quick look around Eldridge's room to see, like, was there an open window that somebody might have gained access, or was the lock on the door jimmied?
It doesn't look like there was any access to the room. Everything was locked. The windows were closed.
So the help has been infiltrated. Someone who has a key, a maid, or the hotel owners, or the front desk, came in here.
Except, I mean, yeah, but like they left clear signs that they busted the lock. Like they would.
Why would they do that but leave everything else perfectly? Yeah.
Well, it's a very old hotel. There's no telling how many generations of people have had opportunities to copy the keys.
Well, no, but what he's saying is that they went directly for my trunk rather than anything else. Like they went right for that, broke off the lock, and then just opened it. They didn't
made no attempts to try and cover it back up again, or make it like they didn't.
What is the weight of these objects?
About what you'd expect for an actual body part. Maybe a little lighter.
I'm just thinking that since we've already been infiltrated, we should be carrying these things around rather than leaving them here.
They are full size, so.
I mean,
does the hotel have a strong room?
But that doesn't. I don't think that would matter.
Yeah, because if they're infiltrating the help, if they have a key, then that means they may have a key to that. Frustrating.
Well, I was hoping we'd get to the dinner, but we are now at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Call it there?
Sure.
All right.
8 o'clock.
Yes,
it's 11 o'clock.
It's 11 o'clock.
I'll give you this. Is there anything else that you want to do that we can do in a couple of seconds? Any other questions?
Well, I think it's best if we return to our rooms and
get ready for dinner.
Carry out our ablutions and dress for dinner.
Yeah.
Where's my gun?
Okay. Well, then we'll end the episode there. Our players included Thomas McKeon, James Seals, Mick Swan, Simon Ward, Jeff Wilkins, and Wayne Worthy, with myself as the keeper of the secrets. Our games are played using traditional tabletop methods with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. If you enjoyed our broadcast, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for updates on our latest shows. You'll also find links in the description below to our website and our Twitter page. This is Tom Rayleigh inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good game.